our future in thy hand. United people, liberty.
Uganda has gone through various phases of development. You remember we had pre-colonial, we had our tribes and small groups with their centers of development as local, because Bukedi has not had kingdoms that much. Then the nation got independence in 1962, as we know. And I was shocked in my research to find out that much as many people think that we were doing very well, at that time we were doing very badly. GDP per capita was $55 at independence. We found out that during that time, Bukedi was doing quite well. It was among the top performing sub-regions in the country. We were number 2? Yes, we were number 2. But as you know, the country went down. The economy went down, and time came when the economy was on its knees. At that time, the economy was dependent on 3 things. On three C's and 3 T's. What the President, His Excellency, usually calls the enclave economy. Now, in terms of participation in that economy, in the 3 C's, Bukedi had the cotton. Bukedi had never had the coffee significantly, a few people here and there, and we didn't have copper, of course. In the 3 T's, which was tobacco, tourism, and tea, was Bukedi very much there? No. So our mainstay was cotton. And during that time of turmoil, and we had very 2 powerful cooperatives, the North Bukedi cooperative and the South Bukedi cooperative. And those cooperatives did not only provide the economic backbone, the money economy. Of course, we had the food. We were not in Kolerakida then. At that time, we were not just in Kolerakida. We had food, we had food security. Food was not usually for sale, but cotton. And then subsequently, we had some cattle, a few things, but really cotton was the drive of the economy. And those cooperatives were hinged on that. And men identified themselves by their membership in the economy. Because if you didn't grow enough cotton to pay your taxes, you didn't have a ticket, the tax ticket. And how could you speak among men when you don't have a tax ticket? This had been culturalized by the time I started understanding, because that tax ticket was the identity. Now, with the collapse of cotton, it collapsed with the ego of Bukedi. We did not know what to do anymore. And since when the NRM government came back, took over, they drew the 10-point program. I was reading that detailed 10-point program yesterday. And these then younger men and women, they had really thought through this nation. I had never sat down to read the document itself in detail. I read it last night. The thinking that had gone into developing the 10-point program was very, very detailed. And the presumption was that we will have everybody across the nation. So we tried at the beginning, as we went into the recovery, government really tried to return cotton. But then we realized that cotton had been cultivated without chibalo. There was no mathematics. It was a good economic identity. It was a good mobilizing, but did we have chibalo? Did we know whether we were really economically benefiting from the cotton? We didn't know. And so as the recovery, cotton tried to recover through the recovery period, but it didn't finish the marathon of recovery. And so when other crops were going into other enterprises which had been recovered, were going into expansion, cotton was shrinking. And so the Bukedi tried to do what they could, and they discovered rice. They discovered the rice, and they owned the rice. And the rice was, I remember the first time my family cultivated the rice. The one thing I didn't like about rice was going to chase birds. Any of you who liked that job as a younger boy, a younger girl, going to the swamp at 5 a.m. to make sure the birds don't eat the rice? Do we still do it up to now? I don't know, because that was part of my job as a kid, making sure that the birds don't eat the rice. But they owned rice, and with that, we started to use the wetlands. And Bukedi has a significant wetland, and we started to institutionalize and to own. Rice became the mainstay. The majority of us studied from rice money. And as the economy went into diversification, we tried to do maize and all those things. But fast forward, we moved away from any cash crop, which was just a cash crop, and we went into food crops. And as the population has grown, and the land became tired, and the portions of land become smaller, we gravitated more to using those food crops for the stomach. Nkolera niki, nkolera kida. And the government has planned, they have brought programs. Government has brought so many programs, but we were so preoccupied with nkolera kida that we haven't listened to most of these things. But I think the time has now come. And I want to call you this morning to imagine Bukedi. My undersecretary was saying, I didn't know Bukedi has so many big people. Because I was not in when you're introducing yourself. He said, I didn't know these big people come from Bukedi. So I want to invite you to imagine Bukedi. When you see Bukedi 2040, the government has developed a vision 2040 to transform this nation into a modern society from a peasant one. What is Bukedi going to be like? What is your Bukedi? So this morning, we wanted to have a breakfast and share a vision and have an input into this vision and own this vision. So Bukedi, as you know, visually on the map, and we have the 7 districts, and for a long time we wanted to harmonize. How do you develop Bukedi? How does Bukedi participate in this growth which is happening all over the nation? Every time a census comes, you are second last. demographic and housing survey, we are second last. Anangi, what is wrong? Do we like that? Do we like that? Who is proud of that? Who walks around feeling we are second last, we are lucky, we are happy, we are okay? Are we proud of it? Now, you men and women, it is time for us to rise. So, partly I'm here because I have an assignment in government, much as I'm from Bukedi, but I have an assignment from government to increase productivity. How do you bring the science to support increasing productivity? So we worked with a team from Bukedi, and we have come up with a strategic plan. The strategic plan is not anything new. What we have done is to organize the same information that has been around to come to a point where we all own it. And you know, strategic plan is like a building. If you have a big open field and you are walking and you can walk this way, you can walk this way. If you walk like that, it will be difficult for you to make a journey. But if somebody comes and makes a road and say walk along the road, you are definitely going to reach somewhere. And so, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, launched this strategic plan on the 22nd of August 2024. When he got it and read it, when he was visiting Bukedi, he said he was relaunching it. So he has launched it twice. And having really support and the backing of His Excellency, because he's the vision bearer. And as I was reading the 10-point program, we are operationalizing what he laid forth. And so I want to envision us and saying, I've titled, Imagine Bukedi. Imagine Bukedi. My Bukedi. So in this plan, we are walking through 3 milestones, through 3 phases in the Bukedi development. In the first phase, which starts now, also has started already, up to 2030, we have phase 1. The focus and theme in phase 1 is commercializing of agriculture. That is going to be the main theme. How do we turn ourselves from Kolerachida to making agriculture commercial, which is in line with the government plan? After 2035, we enter phase 2, and that is the industrialization phase. And then phase 3, we go into high tech. I am glad there are many younger people here. That's why we made this breakfast, so that we all come and everybody can see. So imagine Bukedi. At the end of phase 1, we expect to see Bukedi looking like this. A rural landscape with the organized farms. Not these Businde, you know, you go this way. We wish to harness solar power for irrigation. We need to have cooperatives cooperatives with organized markets, selling our products both internally and externally from Bukedi. And with the processing centers, by 2030, with those processing centers, I want you to imagine that village where you come from. By 2030, it shouldn't look as disorganized as it does now, with roads which meander and lands whose boundaries, you have to have learned that advanced mathematics of finding the area of a what? A polygon. The land has 10 angles, some obtuse, the way we have fragmented the land. At the end of phase 2, Bukedi should be changing how it is looking, because we are moving into now large-scale agro-industrial parks and factories, because we have overcome the challenges of peasantry. Are you coming with me to imagine Bukedi? Hello? We have some factories, those agro-industrial parks. It's a vibrant marketplaces, roads bursting with the transport vehicles, and significant renewable energy powering the region. And we are going to be having significant vocational training centers. I'll walk through what we plan to do in phase 1. My work here is to ignite your imagination. I learned from a man called Stephen Covey. He said everything is created twice. It's first created in the mind and then downloaded. So if we think through these things, it's going to happen. And this, you're Bukedi by, do you see the skyscrapers? Are you able to see them? Over there?
Yes.
You notice that we have more open lands because people have moved into the urban centers, and most of the land has been vacated for use in large farms, commercial farms, and the urban centers with high-rise buildings. We have modern towns with tech hubs, because your young people are not working on the land, they are working in tech hubs. And we have green urban places and very smart buildings. The agricultural fields are very advanced. We are using drones for irrigation, feeding the fields with nutrients, detection of diseases. Do you see that drone there? Somewhere to the north, to the top, towards your right, my left. And people work in parks and knowledge-based industries. This is what the strategic plan is designed to create. Do you like it? We like it? Then let's make it happen. How about our cities? What should these cities look like? Or what are they going to look like? What are you creating them to look like? We started from the eastmost. This is Busia City in 2040. Take it in. because we have to create it and make it happen. Each city in the region, in the sub-region, has a significant theme, economic theme. So Busia is a vibrant cross-border trade and sustainable development urban center. Very well organized in 2040, and it's a gateway to the nation. Tororo. That is Tororo City in 2040. It's an industrial and logistic hub in that sub-region. Do you imagine Tororo? Huh? Imagine Tororo. That is Butaleja. That is Butaleja City 2040. It's a hub for sustainable agriculture and agro-processing. Should I leave them a few more seconds so that you take it in? But this is going to be saturated to envision all of us. Strategic planning is about vision. And strategic planning makes things which are not to be, because you stimulate the imagination to create them. Budaka. Budaka as an education and training hub. With some universities there. And skilling centers that produce precision skilling for the country. Chibuku, are we here? Chibuku as an aquaculture and dairy processing hub, and all the industries that go with it. I imagine they are the ones supplying all the dairy products for Uganda Airlines. And we have a distribution center in Dubai to take the products from the dairy and the fish products from Chibuku to the world. Butebo. Butebo is a hub for coffee and cocoa agro-processing. You will not pass any duty-free center in the world, in any airport, and you are not finding products from Butebo that have been carefully made and processed, and we are the world's best. Palisa is a hub for technology and logistics. The high-tech hub in 2040. So fellow Bukedi, imagine Bukedi. This is what we are creating when we are talking about. So, how do we get there? Or should I leave you first to live in the future?
No.
Should I leave you to enjoy the future first?
No.
Eh?
No, let's go there.
Mr. Waya, did you see Butaleja?
Let's go there.
Spot on.
Let's go there.
And of course, in there we shall have have development tourism because Bukedi is going to be a miracle and a wonder that other nations have to just come and see how we have done it. So who is building the hospitality industry?
Me.
So in these phases, we have costed the phases. Phase 1, 2024 to 2030, to create that. If we have an investment of only 177 billion in the priority in agriculture, we are able to get it. This money could come from government, but it can come from you. It can come from you. It will come from investors. We have some investors here, and we are going to have many more when we have the investment forum, the Bukedi Investment Forum next year, which will be in Bukedi, where we are going to invite the investors to come and invest in Bukedi because we know the journey, we know the promise, we know the future. Come and invest in this and be part of it. In phase 2, we will need 352 billion for investment in the main, not the other ones which will create the ecosystem. This will attract the rest of the money. And phase 3, we are looking at 128 billion. So total, the strategic plan is designed, if we have this as money to de-risk, to ignite, money attracts money. It will bring in more money. So we are not saying this is all the money you need for this transformation. So what should we be doing? Now that we are imagining Bukedi, we have created the Bukedi phase 1, and we want to create it on the ground. Between 2025, which is beginning, or 2024, which we have been doing, and 2030, we are going to be implementing phase 1. Now, in phase 1, we'll be concentrating on activities to bring out the reality of phase 1 and intentionally prepare for phase 2, especially preparing the people, the mindsets. Bukedi is one of the regions with a very young age generation. And if we can capture their minds and harness them, intentionally prepare them, by the time we are entering phase 2, we will have a ready capital. But also there are other infrastructures that need to be prepared. And many of these have been planned by government. This plan has taken into what government has planned in NDP4, but we are also aggressively saying, if you are here, you're a businessman from any part of the world, Bukedi is the place to invest. It's the place to be. So I'll give you a little bit of what we should be doing in phase 1. Phase 1, and in line with the government strategy, parish development model, and we are adding top-up layers. The goal is to commercialize agriculture. I didn't, what's the target household income? Joshua, I don't think. By phase 1?
5 million?
Yeah. Phase 1, the average household income should be 5 million annually. We are on a journey. The target is by 2040. The poorest person should be earning 30 million in Uganda shillings as per the value as it is now. So first in phase 1, as you leave this place, you will make a commitment. One, we need to create an organization. People who have started with a little bit more knowledge, they can produce, even just using poles, a person who has a few square meters of land can produce thousands of chicken by using knowledge, by using science. Then we need to begin to set up the training centers in modern agriculture techniques. We need to build the capacity of our people. We need to begin to harness solar-powered irrigation systems. The businessmen in the room, your brain should be cooking. Is it? Is it cooking? To see the business opportunities. Yeah. So we want to make sure that there is solar-powered irrigation. Government has partly planned for this, but they also planning for some significant irrigation. And then the economy, we want to make sure that there is substantial, really documentable growth in households. And when UBOS does these statistics, we will do the monitoring, Budeko will do monitoring, but the verification that what they are saying is true should be done by centers, not national centers. UBOS should be able to document. So we want this to the first phase, to create an elbow. You know elbow, eh? The income should start going up sharply. Instead, right now it is there. But now that we are picking up the call of government, we are going to begin to turn around so that our households, by 2030, we expect to have an average household income of 5 million. Some will have more, some will have less. So what are the assumptions? One is that we shall invest in farmer training programs for modern techniques. And don't leave this to government, fellow Bukedi. But government will do their part, but let all of us, if you're a professor, can you give us your weekend and train people? If you are an agriculture, the technical somebody with a skill, if you're a businessman, can you give us your skills and come and support this work? Then there will be development of markets and value chains for agriculture outputs. Because if we produce chicken and one season they are not processed, they are not sold, then the farmers get discouraged. We will again piggyback. This time let's not miss government. Government programs are the beginning for us to ride on. But if the leadership is not there from all of us, and they are just reaching a few people in the village, then people continue in their mindset of thinking, and the program ends and Bukedi is still behind. Then we are hoping that the incentives for adopting new crops, especially the coffee, the cocoa, and the fish, that there will be significant incentives, like supply of seedlings, both by government, but we have also secured commitment from a number of partners who are going to support us in supplying seedlings. But even you, when you are buying yours, that neighbor of yours who has a quarter of a piece of land, can't you buy for them 100 seedlings of coffee and cocoa? But we have models, and I hope we'll hear a few of them. Now, you will do something more about this, so I will not spend time on that. Why those crops? So imagine Bukedi, the strategic direction, the vision is for us to have a united and prosperous Bukedi. Bukedi is beautifully constructed. We are the United States of Bukedi. Beautifully constructed. And if we can harness our varieties, the varieties in language, the varieties in culture, the varieties in history, the varieties in everything, we are going to make the best sub-region. So we want to be united. Because, ladies and gentlemen, think about it. We are disunited to achieve what? To sustain poverty. So can we be united? And can we stop accepting disorganized things? Can we start accepting prosperity? And the mission is to make sure that we empower the people of Bukedi to achieve socio-economic leap through unity, hard work, science, technology, and innovation based on scientifically prioritized industrial value chains. That is the strategic plan. And it has several objectives: increasing the number of households which are commercially engaged in the cocoa value chain to at least 75% by 2040. Each should have at least some cocoa. We want to increase those involved in poultry value chain, not just chicken running around at home, but seriously bringing chicken to the world. That sweet chicken of ours, at least 75%. They are doing it on a commercial. We want those to be in the coffee value chain also by 75%. And then we will develop a foundry for development of specialized human capital for Bukedi sub-region. As we are working through this, by the way, it has taken us over 2 years working to collect the information, to talk to everybody, to many people, to come up with this plan. A foundry is a mixing place, a melting place. I came across a category of people in Bukedi called educated but unemployed. This, as I was talking to parents, trying to encourage them, why don't we now bring their education and melt it into the development plan and channel that literacy? Why should you be educated in any form of certificate or diploma or degree and be unemployed? So we are going to develop that system, and we have a number of universities, we have a number of technical colleges where need, we will start new ones. We have a number of schools and investors in schools to support the government backbone, but we want to be very intentional about building this human capital development, transforming these young people who have benefited from universal primary education. Many of them have benefited from universal secondary education. Many of them have even had either free or paid vocational education. And some have had university. A lot of them keep calling me. How can we create an option for them to find a job in Bukedi? If they want to go somewhere else, diaspora like all of us, fine. By the way, in the context of Bukedi, diaspora are people from Bukedi who stays outside Bukedi. So if you stay in Iganga, Jinja, where, Kampala, out to the utmost ends of the world, you are diaspora. So if they get a job or they get business in the diaspora, good. But can we give our children an option, that they always have an option to find a job at home? I thought you'd clap for that. You don't want to commit, eh? Then we want to develop an ecosystem that enrolls households in Bukedi to benefit from the green economy. To benefit from the green economy, we are really, really intentional about this. Very intentional about that. Green economy, those trees that you have, and I understand a lot of NGOs are coming, they tell you, they give you a seedling, you plant the seedling, and then they tell you to sign some paper. Basically what you're saying is the carbon credits from this tree for the next 20 years will be owned by the NGO or whoever is funding them. So all the money will be going to them and not you. We are going to create literacy on this. We want to increase the number of youths and women engaged in commercial agriculture, in the agro-value chains. Right now it is very low, but if we can achieve 50%, beyond that, we know that the farms are going to become very, very big and industrial, because many people will leave the land to stay in high-rise buildings. We want to increase the number of households engaged in pathogen economy industrial value chains. Now, pathogen economy, for those of you who are not familiar with us at Science Technology, is the production of medicines, vaccines, diagnostics. Now, we are privileged to have the first education center, part of Stema University at Kamwangasi, whose main focus is science, and their beginning entry, I don't know if the dean is here. I thought I saw him. But their main focus is herbal medicines, but also we have one of our people who have been very nice to sponsor us, Day Biopharma, the biggest pharmaceutical manufacturing plant on the African continent. The MD is here, he will say a few words, but they have a number of things they use. For example, pharmaceutical grade starch. And I was informed by the MD, by the proprietor, that even if we turned all Bukedi into cassava gardens, we can't supply enough starch for him. So can we contribute to supplying? So that instead of selling your cassava at 100 shillings per kilo, we are adding value to it now, and we turn around cassava to being a valuable. So we are going to be developing this. It is going to take us a bit of time to develop the human capital, the infrastructure, attract the investors who are going to invest in that grade or that level. But that is one of the, at this university, we are working to making sure that we have human capital development. The herbs, those rosemaries, those artemisia, there are so many things. So we want to commercialize these opportunities. And then we want to develop a system that amplifies the value addition of minerals. You know, Bukedi has minerals. Of course, this we are working with the government. Bukedi is mineral rich. We are very mineral rich. So in the strategic, this is for the life of the strategic plan. So how do we get everything, these ambitions, implemented? So His Excellency the President is the patron. I am the assistant. I am the assistant, and even if I'm not there, that ministry will support, because we are supporting every sub-region.
We are supporting every sub-region, but I'm the assistant. And in terms of the implementation, the sub-regional implementer, we have created the Bukedi Development Consortium, Bodeco. Bodeco is already registered and it's a legal entity. Chairman, you're welcome. That's my chairman, Elsifai. You have missed to see Butebo, but maybe I will show you since he's privileged, he's my chairman. So we have set up this as a platform. Budeco is not some kind of small thing belonging, that Budeco is a platform, a consortium to make sure that we are continuously on course, that we do not forget, we do not get swallowed up in other things, that whatever we are doing, we are on the strategic plan for Bukedi. So they will explain more about Budeco. And what have we so far done? We have had various events to popularize. Of course, the strategic plan was launched. Preparing the strategic plan was a hectic job. But finally, we had all the leaders, from our members of parliament to district leadership, to opinion leaders. The only group we hadn't reached is the group we call the diaspora. The other significants in Bukedi who were not there on the ground. And that's why we are having this breakfast, to share with you the plan for your homeland and to recruit you to make sure that so Budeco, those of you with already smartphones, you can check. There's a website. We are identifying the nursery and modern farms, which is ongoing. We are going to do very close monitoring to make sure that the plan is being implemented. It's not orphaned, and then we expect it to have to come. So we have some partnerships that we need. The establishment of Budeco, which is a consortium that all of us must belong to. If you really want to be part of this, come in, and Budeco will be like, give us that institutional platform to interface with the government, interface with investors, and we are going to build it as a modern entity, that anybody who comes there just has faith that these are people I can work with. I thought you would clap for that. You know how your offices are in those regions. An investor comes and is already discouraged. We want to build a very modern organization that can go and mobilize money in New York, mobilize money in Geneva, but also can mobilize money from you. They are partnering with the companies on the ground. So we have managed to get some funds for the initial activities, to mobilize the local leaders. We have some pledges of seedlings. I think those people are here. They will come and tell us. I will not speak. And then we have had some identification, partial identification of commercial farmers who are already there. I learned in my chemistry in S2. Chemistry was my best subject. I didn't ever want to score a 99. That would be a failure. So chemistry in senior 2, they taught me about crystallization. If you want to attract what is in the word, find a crystal. If you have a solution of sugar and you want to collect the sugar in there, and they use this in the pharmacy industry and what, put a crystal of sugar. then all the sugar molecules will aggregate around the what? So we want the people with modern farms to begin to to form a nucleus around which we encourage all our dear households which are still in subsistence. So that you are an example, they don't need you to walk very far. And we have mapped a few of those farms. We want to have them geomarked so that I can use satellite and view how the farm is doing and how you are expanding around. Now, for some of you who are here, the reason you are here is because you have a capacity to establish these farms. That's part of the reason you are here. Can you start? We want at least a modern farm per parish. How many parishes do I have here? I have 63 in Butebo, 61 in Butebo. You say 63, you killed it too. 61 in Butebo. Paris are how many? 92, Butaleja, okay. So can you as an individual who is here commit to having at least a 4-acre farm? At least 4 acres, not too much, minimum. But many of you can have 100. You have idle land. The people in the village are trying to use it to grow cassava, which is affected by mosaic. It stays like this. Can we apply science to that land? And you plant. The costs of planting. And for those of you who are telephone farmers, we even have a mechanism which is reliable to plant for you. We can prepare the land, show us the land, at a cost, of course. Instead of you coming to do it yourself, we put there somebody to come and plant. They plant modern to make sure it is established and look after it for an agreed period of time. So that you don't suffer those things you usually suffer. You send the money, and then in the end, there is nothing. The other effort we are undertaking, and this was brought on board by His Excellency when he came for the Thanksgiving in Butebo, we see he's very passionate about preventing fragmentation of land. In some places, like in my own place, it is a disaster. Even if you have an acre of land, that acre is in 5 pieces. One piece here, then you jump Mudanga and what, then you land there, then you have another piece, then the land is so fragmented that how will you irrigate that plantation? So we want to have an initiative for land reaggregation. Many of you had already fragmented the land. How can we do commercial farming by aggregating pieces of land belonging to different people? And we have been exploring legal mechanisms of doing that. When we are ready, I think in the next, when we have the investment forum, we'll be able to share that plan. So what's the role of you as part of the leaders of Bukedi? One, we need to speak with one voice. What is the vision? A united and? Yeah. We want to speak with one voice and champion this cause. And I can assure you we will get it. Two, we want to identify the champions. Champions who speak, but champions who do. People hear you better through their eyes. People can hear better through their eyes and hands. I hear an African's eyes are in the hands. If they come to your garden and touch the cocoa, but if you are just there talking to them, I sometimes suspect this is why extension services don't work more today. Extension workers should have a model farm where they invite people to see. So can we become the extension workers? So be part of the model farmers and establish these gardens, the coffee, the cocoa. Minister of Agriculture is working to provide the equipment for digging ponds for every district, such that we can dig the fish ponds in the fish areas. Find your place to play your role. For God and my country, we are making Uganda the best. Thank you. I hope you can imagine Bukedi.
Under Operation Wealth Creation, I've seen people's documents passing around my boss, being funded, but Bukedi was nowhere. So for now, I'm very sure we are now at the right track, and all that is courtesy of our minister and the organizing team. Practically, I'm a practicing farmer. I have cocoa, coffee, and poultry. So you are speaking to the converted, and I am available, since it is my area of proficiency, to help my people. My master is in agriculture extension and education. So literally, I am a trainer of the real village people. Other political issues you know, but today we came here to talk development. Thank you very much to allow him to give me the mic, at least to say something.
Thank you so much.
Let me take this opportunity to register the apology. It's not an apology. Why there might be a concern, why there are few members of parliament present. I can assure you confidently that we are few, or we've been here 12 us, because all what have been presented here, the members of parliament have been happy. Now, this meeting was only called for the people to bring in their ideas. What I can say, this strategic plan has gone on the stages. We presented it to government. All Bukedi members of parliament unanimously presented this under our able leadership, Honorable Osei. We presented this to His Excellency the President. And I can assure you, the President is saying that for the first time in the history of Bukedi, since he got to power, this is what he was yearning to see. It was his first time to see that this issue has been unanimously come together and brought up these ideas. The President adopted it immediately. We did it last month. And then, the Minister, we really thank you. He has coordinated this. Now, why are we here? We are here to see how we can really bring up Bukedi. As leaders of Bukedi, the members of parliament, and I know even you people, we have one issue which is we are struggling with is poverty in Bukedi. As a leader, I'm suffering, but I know as a glimpse of Bukedi, some of us you go for Christmas, you are worried how you are going to manage the people down in your smaller villages. That is a big problem. And the strategic plan and the reason why you are here is to start how do we attack the animal which has people removing poverty. So as we discuss the matter, the issues here, we as the leaders, we didn't want to move alone. We didn't want to say that one is in general thinking and what have you. I know many of you from where you come from, you also small villages, when you speak, people listen. I can assure you, you come from a parish, you come from a sub-county, when you speak to those people that this is happening, the people will listen. Now, this is just to cause you to go down and disseminate information that this is happening in Bukedi this time around. That we are ready to start really arresting the issue of poverty in our region in Bukedi. We cannot do it as already, as the member of parliament, I can't do it in Ikiti and I manage alone. But if it's the chair, we can handle it and we see ourselves moving forward. That's the intention of this meeting. We have now a strategic plan, well intentioned, well thought through, and I can see I had many people here presenting themselves with different kinds of professional qualification and education they have acquired. And these are all from Bukedi. Why not now? That all that you got, the education, the experience, the profession, can be put together and we want to Bukedi. That's my clear call to all of us here. And I really thank you so much. As leaders, honorable members, we cannot do this alone. We bring you on board and we request you, much as things others may criticize, the intention that when we speak to you, you will know it and you will be able to even defend certain areas where one is misleading a party. Now people are poor, our people are being stuck in poverty. It's easy for one to mislead them. But with your knowledge that now the information is good, I believe you can pass on the right information to that population that this is happening and let them support it.
And they are committed to the cause as usual. The only appeal to colleagues here, first of all, it is an honor to be part of this meeting and part of you today as Bukedi. The appeal from the district local leaders is that we have a group of people who are empowered, people who can talk to the community. Only us as leaders down there, we can't wait. Therefore, when you get opportunity, because ours is to mobilize, you and me have a role to play in mobilizing the community. The appeal is that once in a while, when you come around to Bukedi, get time and talk to one or two people, there we shall change our society. I thank you.
Our leaders, political leaders and leaders at different levels, the people from Bukedi, I think it is still morning. Good morning to you all. I introduced myself a little earlier. Once again, I'm Maria Isali. I teach at the School of Economics at Makerere. I join everyone who has spoken in thanking the leadership of Dr. Monica Musenero and indeed the team that has put the plan together and that is taking us to the next level that we all desire to be. Thank you so much. The strategic plan is a very good document. It's quite clear. The visualization is quite clear, and also the activities in there, I think, are quite clear, and they will lead us to where we want to be. The thing then that we all need to work on is the implementation plan for this strategic plan. What is going to be the implementation plan for the strategic plan? Now, I want to make a few suggestions. From everything that the Honorable Minister presented, we notice that we are going to require a certain institutional arrangement. We are going to require a framework that leads the development in an orderly manner. That is going to be extremely important, and that for me is one of the key points that I pick from the Honorable Minister's presentation. How do we progress in an orderly manner and in a manner that is sustainable, so that we see transformation taking place sustainably and reinforcing itself. That is what we need to be deliberating on as part of our implementation strategy and plan. And at the heart of any orderly development, we are going to require structures, we are going to require institutions at the lowest level. So what institutions are we going to build at the village, at the community, at the parish level to adapt and sustain the progress that we are looking for? So at some stage, as part of this journey, we are going to have to come together again and visualize these institutions so that the development and the transformation is sustainable and taking place in a very orderly manner. These could be religious institutions that are driving change in some way. They could be private entrepreneurs. They could be schools. They could be systems that are cooperatives or banking centers, but we will have to do this in a very organized and orderly manner. That will make the difference as to whether we will be able to implement this plan or not. Now that is going to take some time to visualize these institutions, put them in place, and embark on implementation. In the meantime, though, my suggestion is we can take advantage of the already existing government initiatives. Of course, we have a number of them that we are all over that with, but with that, we have across the Bukedi sub-region, I was counting on Wednesday, we have 31 agro-processing facilities that were procured by government, I think between 2010 and 2017. Some of these are maize mills, some are rice hullers, some are milk coolers, and all of these. So, Honorable Minister, as a first step, as we try to commercialize agriculture, and as you have rightly said, we need to add value. So how do we take advantage of what there is already? And these, most of them, we have the numbers, the director policy here from Modern UC. Most of them are actually not being used at all. Others are underutilized. We can take advantage of this right away and get certain things running. Then once we have that one doing the value addition, the processing and marketing, then we will go into the next step now of getting the right institutions to drive and sustain change, because it's the only way and the only way we will transform sustainably and meaningfully. So that should be coming next. And then along with the institutions, we will be identifying our own philosophy and model. So which of the activities will be done by government and state institutions? Which one shall we leave for the private sector as you have guided and other entrepreneurs? Which one will be done by faith-based institutions so that they are left with those? And who will do what in this journey? I think at some stage we need to resolve that, and we can keep reviewing along the way and see what is working and what is not working. So, Honorable Minister and the entire team that has put this together, we most sincerely appreciate. But I think we need to rally behind you and do transformation in such a way that it is meaningful and that it is sustainable. And once again, I think the only channel that can do that for us is if and only if we are able to nurture structures, nurture institutions that will make this possible and make it possible in a sustainable.
Each of you who sat here and you heard people introducing themselves, you really could have been impressed with the kind of human resource that we have already within here. Some are working outside Uganda, but they hail from Bukedi. Some of you are consultants in different areas, professors, PhD holders, and so forth. So we are going to develop this database so that we are able to know who is who in Bukedi. And when we want to tap into your resource, it becomes easier for us to do so. The other aspect that the Honorable Minister alluded to is the fact that all of us who are here need to go back and encourage our people to aggregate land for agriculture and industrialization. You're all aware that we've segmented, fragmented our lands, and that really affects meaningful agriculture within the sub-region. This is something that we are going to aggressively engage our people, sensitize them to appreciate the value, and ensure that we can aggregate land. For example, if a family has 20 acres, but the 20 acres have been divided into the children, assuming they all decided to form a family company and put together these 20 acres and grow coffee, grow cocoa, and other enterprises, we believe that this will go a long way to support our people. We will, of course, mobilize commercial farmers. We want to ensure that at least we have a modern farm in each parish within the sub-region. That is something that we are going to work very closely. And now that we have the PDM ongoing, Budeco wants to tap into that and see how do we work hand in hand with these government programs and ensure that we have a modern farm at each parish level within the entire sub-region. We will, of course, ensure that we facilitate Budeco to spearhead the implementation of this strategic plan. I've already alluded to that. We need all your support. We need each of you. Everyone in this room, you are critical to the implementation of this strategic plan. And so we need to work together to ensure that we achieve it. We are going to create linkages to access finance, and I was happy with the information from Honorable Ekanya that already we have some investors that would want to engage us to ensure that we start working together. And of course, related to that is to create linkages with development partners. We are happy already with the even when Budeco is still young, already the biofarmer who are already here have already looked at our potential. They have looked into the future and realized that they can partner with us. So already the biofarmer has already agreed to partner with Budeco to ensure that we can implement this strategic plan. And we will be working more closely with them and other partners. We are going to be deliberate at the issue of capacity building and skills. We will have different programs that we will ensure that they will support the implementation of this strategic plan. Right from our education system, looking at the primary level, the secondary, vocational, up to university, we want to take advantage of these different skill sets and see how we can implement this strategic plan. We are going to develop agricultural value chains and strengthen the market linkages. Some of you are experts in identifying markets. Please, let's work together. This has been a common question when we were popularizing the strategic plan in Bukedi. Many people were asking us, where is the market for coffee? Where is the market for cocoa? Or where is even the market for poultry and fish? So we are going to be deliberate in identifying these markets so that we can aggregate the produce that will be arising from the implementation of these value chains to take advantage of it. And then we will develop, of course, the monitoring, evaluation and impact assessment mechanism. I had Canon Joyce Nima volunteering to be part of the monitoring team. We appreciate that. Lastly, like the Honorable Minister challenged all of us, as Bukedi, this is a turning point for Bukedi. And I know that if we miss this opportunity, I don't think we may have another opportunity. I think our children will blame us for not taking advantage of the current environment to ensure that we transform Bukedi. And therefore, because of that, I appeal to all of us as an action that let us speak with one voice. As we go out of this room, the conversation now is implementation of the Bukedi strategic plan.
As you know, in the development of our country, starting mostly, the money economy was brought by the colonialists. So the colonialists organized the country according to their interests. So the eastern part was largely producing cotton. Other parts were producing coffee, while other parts were producing tobacco. Now Bukedi was producing cotton. After the independence, Bukedi continued to produce cotton. Of course, we say that it was shining, it was among the best performing sub-regions, but it was just being the tallest pygmy, the tallest among the short. But it was doing fairly well, comparatively well, based on the region. It was, I think, the second best, most developed, contributing to the GDP of the country. But during the years of turmoil, starting with Idi Amin, the economic sanctions, and then in the early 1980s, the economy completely collapsed. Cotton collapsed because the marketing system, the supply chain collapsed. And consequently, the institutions that gave identity to Bukedi, those which were the cooperatives, they were the economic engines, the economic leaders in the region. You can imagine in cotton, we had the ginaries, we had the oil mills, we had so much, and everybody identified by being a member of this cooperative. When they collapsed, during the recovery period, the government tried to bring back cotton, but things had changed. In that interim time, cotton needs a big acreage. Before, people had a lot of land, but now they don't have land. So people tried to bring back cotton. Government even put a cotton development organization. But late after doing the Chibaro, it was realized that the sizes of land, and including the productivity of the land, and of course cotton doesn't do well in swamps. And at that time, the only fertile pieces of land we had left, which can grow cotton, were swamps. But cotton doesn't do well in swamps. So people gave up cotton. Rice started to emerge as a commercial crop, but there was no organization of it. We didn't have a cooperative where rice is grown. We didn't have a good marketing system. We didn't have a good extension system. But because there were swamps and the land was fertile, it was virgin, rice was doing well, people did it, and it sustained them. Eventually, we adopted maize because we have now institutions that buy maize, schools, and also government. They buy maize, and then we also started eating maize, because before, people in Bukedi never used to eat posho. But we started to eat maize now as food. Now, we are producing rice as food, but also as commercial crop. As the production became smaller and smaller, now you have to share between the family eating and selling. So you are kolera chida. The maize, most of it is very small, and the land pieces became smaller and smaller. So Basically, as I have said, we the people on the ground did not take up the leadership to help our people organize. We did not, I include myself, the president has had a lot of initiatives. He was calling people from every region, but because we had a lot of disunity, Bukedi people did not agree. He has called them so many times. The Bukedi caucus could not meet through the different parliaments, and so we have lacked that leadership of coming together. So that is how Bukedi went down. Everybody started being for himself. Now, development economically, there is a minimum number, a minimum amount of production you need for you to develop. Even if I produce something, if I'm alone and we cannot aggregate, you will not attract industrialization, you will not attract value addition. You take a grinding mill to a place where they are producing some maize, the grinding mill is going to work for just a few months. The rest of the time it is seated there, there is nobody using it because the production in the area is very little. So we need to have something that pushes us. So the KIDA started pulling the money. And that is why we reached a point where we realized that in Chida, because we no longer had capacity to produce surplus for us to be in the money economy. And also that lack of concerted leadership from us, really the elite, that concerted leadership to direct people and guide people, as the president is always saying. So that is why we have hope now, because the leaders have come together. We have picked the president's message, and we have come up, as you have heard, most of the things that we are saying that we are putting now, it's not new. In 1996, the president's strategic plan, I actually pulled it out yesterday. It was talking about coffee growing and dairy. So for that particular region, what we have added is cocoa. But the difference is mobilizing the leadership on the ground so that we own. Because of that lack of ownership, they brought Monabagaga Wale, they brought the modernization of agriculture, NADS came, Operation Wealth Creation, and all those resources are poured in, but they are destroyed, they just get damaged. But now we are ready, we don't want PDM to pass us by. When I was presidential advisor, first of all, I had my own desire to support the region because I have some skills and knowledge. But when I was a presidential advisor, one day we were having a conversation with the president and said, Mukolera Kida, because that's what he calls me. Mukolera Kida, how are the Bukedi doing? I said, we are not doing well. He said, why? I said, the leadership is not organized on the ground. And he asked me, what can we do? I told him, Your Excellency, let me come up with a plan. This is before I was appointed minister, but I did not drop the assignment even when I was... So it has gone through, the first things I tried how to organize, they didn't work. They didn't work at all. People either didn't respond, we didn't know what to do. So what prompted us coming together is now for us to begin to develop ways. By the way, PDM really helped us to begin to think, government is giving resources to people on the ground. How do we bring in science, technology, and innovation to help that money to be sustainable in those families? Because we know that many people, if their minds have not been changed, if they don't know how to invest, how to choose an enterprise, they are just choosing by what they have been doing, which happened in the previous projects. And so we started to think scientifically, and we began to research and testing out things. And because now we have got an understanding of what factors were affecting the sustainability of resources that government is putting in on the ground, we began to package the program, and then we started to roll it out and bring together the different leaders. We put together the think tank. As you saw, it has representation from all across. They sat down, we analyzed the resources that we have. Then we started to onboard the different leaders. In some districts, not every district, but in some districts, we have met all LOC ones and tested the thinking that we had. We met all the RDCs, we met all the NRM chairpersons, We met all the district chairpersons. We've met all the leaders from that region, and then finally with all the members of parliament. So everybody, I can say it's because we have had a step-by-step growing of understanding. So this meeting is the peak now. We wanted to bring those who are not naturally usually there, who have not been caught. We wanted to bring them on board. They are the diaspora. We call them diaspora because they are from Bukedi, but they don't live in Bukedi. When I go to some parts of the country, I can sleep in a decent hotel in almost any town, built by people from that place. They go work, but they invest there. When I go to Bukedi, I can't find a decent hotel to sleep in most of, not even to sleep in, but to eat in most of the districts. So if you cannot attract the investment of these people, secondly, we really want these people to bring their investment. As we start, we are starting with agriculture because that's what we have, but we're also going to be developing the other things which support. So we need all of us to come together and begin to invest and begin to support our people who are on the ground so that we don't abandon them. If somebody has received the money for PDM, whom is he going to consult to help them? To help them, because there are some people that were given money for PDM, we did some training. I went there and they had 300 chicken. When I went back, they had only 30. They told me they died. I said, really, where are the